This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio is brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Center, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. And J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment. Thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for. Who used to say that?
Well, I had a guy in construction that was. He had a lot of them, but thanks for coming out was one of that was the mellow ones. He had some beauties.
We can't waste a whole lot of time today with the tomfoolery that we normally.
Stop it. I like the tomfoolery.
Because our special guest joining us today is none other than the legendary Bob Izumi from The Real Fishing Show.
Okay, I could hurry it up. I could see
last time he was here, we went on and on and on, so we don't want to take away any, because we know it's going to be long. So,
true. Bobby does like to speak, but people like to listen too. We like to hear him. So,
for those of you who don't know him, he is the former host of Bob Izumi's Real Fishing Show, which ended in 2021 after almost 40 years, 38 years.
There's no way that people watching here don't know Bob Izumi. It just can't be.
Yeah, I know. We think that way, don't we? Because we think everybody on the planet is tuned into fishing.
Well, but Bob Izumi, I mean, he was their second. Red Fisher was first, and he was gone a long time ago. Bob was their second. I think I pretty much, hey, write in a comment. Hey, I'm new to the show and I've never heard of Bob Izumi. Who? Bob who? I want to hear that because I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh boy. I knew we'd just go on and on.
Yeah, he's an icon, Yeah,
he is an icon for sure. Co-owner of Izumi Outdoors along with brother Wayne. Mm-hmm. They have done a whole pile of things. Inducted into the Hall of Fame, Canadian Angler Hall of Fame in 2009. Prior to me, by the way, I was 2010, I believe, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Of course, accomplished tournament angler.
And Reno. You and Reno.
Of course. Last on Outdoor Journal. Is this correct, Dean? He was last, episode 40?
It's been a long time.
It seems like it was just the other day.
Right after he retired, he came on and kind of talked about the whole thing, so it's been a while.
Wow. How come?
Well, he's busy. He's doing tournaments. We actually technically we had him on at the Black Bass Championship last year.
Right.
He was with Cooper and Gussie.
Right. So. That's why I feel like we've had him on.
You know
recently,
what? That's right.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he's on today, kiddies. So sit tight. We'll bring him on here shortly. First, Fishing Canada, the store. Clear out Central right now, I'm told.
After the big Christmas
holiday season
and all
stuff. Apparently, everything must go. So I won't tell you anything other than you need to go and check it out.
Can Dean and I get in on that one too?
You guys can get in on anything you want.
Woo,
you got
Dino.
the credit card. You got the credit card that works. That's all that's necessary.
Credit card that works. Yes, sir.
It's all that matters.
Got to get a new one. I've been compromised.
You've been compromised?
I've been compromised. This is a little quick lesson. Everybody, watch everything on your credit card because every little bit. This is only a $60 little transaction, but it is like wrong answer. Now I'm gonna have to get a new card because it shut me down.
I thought you were going to say you're a little financially embarrassed.
Well, if I keep getting those, I will be. That's for sure.
Listener feedback in response to our 40th anniversary promotion from Brian Adams via Facebook.
Brian Adams, not the one, Dean.
Well,
I
might
don't
be.
think isn't the real Brian Adams spelled different? Isn't it with a Y?
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, of course.
Don't make fun of him.
This is the other Brian
Upper
Adams.
echelon. I've seen Brian Adams.
Well,
live.
I almost hired Brian Adams live.
It was an awesome show, and I'm a metalhead freak, and you'd never guess it, but
He's
so
good.
He's a very talented man.
We almost had him at the last call.
I know, I remember that. Only thing stopped it was a little financial embarrassment.
Exactly.
God.
Anyways, Brian Adams via Facebook says, I've been watching for, I don't know, a long time, he says. Always entertaining and educational. I've run into Mr. Viola. Oh, thank you, Mr. Angelo. He doesn't have to call me Mr. Viola, though. A couple of
respect.
times.
Respect.
He's a real gentleman. Thank you.
Oh.
It must have been Reno.
No, because this is coming up.
Oh, I remember his brother Reno trying to upsell me on something when they had the fishing store in Oshawa. I can't imagine that.
Oh my God, Reno was they were both. Brian, you got the hands on his non-upsell day because those two together, they'd work together. I swear to God, if they knew it was a good sale and they could get a little bit more of that wallet, those guys were good at that.
We wanted to maximize people's time because
you're out of the house.
You're already there. You made the commitment. You burned the fuel to come down to the store.
You've obviously got the money because you did. If you're going to spend it to upsell, yeah.
Why not get the full experience?
It was you must have a quick upsell story, do you? Or one day we'll get into that. I can only imagine you and your brother.
I would need a bit of time. There were so many.
You got that fishing hook, but you got to tie a line to that fishing hook. Well, I got a line. I know, but was it monofilament? Oh, you need braid. You got to have this braided stuff.
What we used to say all the time was, okay, let me see if I get this right.
Here it is.
Hold on.
This is going to be good.
So you just bought a rod and a reel for $150. This is back when $150 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
You just spent $150 on a rod and a reel, and now you're going to go home and you're going to dig through some boxes, some bags, I don't know, wherever you got it stored for a spool of fishing line that you think you got for last Christmas that you haven't used yet. And you're going to put that fishing line on this brand new $150 rod and reel. So in other words, you're going to go to your favorite GM dealer and you're going to order that beautiful Impala, but you're not going to order new tires on it because your Uncle Joe, he left you some tires in his will that are sitting in the garage. They're perfectly good tires. And you're going to put those tires on your brand new Impala. Really? You're going to do that? 9 times out of 10, they would say, oh, well, what fishing line would you recommend for it?
They were the masters at that. Just trust me on that. It's true, absolutely. But they were the best at it.
It's true.
There's no doubt about it. I don't think that's even done anymore. I don't think the upsell is out there too much. Right?
The retail, the whole retail landscape has changed. Obviously, most of it's being done on the internet now, so there is no personal interaction.
Yeah.
But retail was a career. People would be, a guy that comes to mind, probably you don't know him, but his name was Doug Moans, Debbie Moans'
I remember the name. Yeah, I don't know.
He was a professional retailer. He worked for retail companies. They would hire him. They would bid on him to come and work for him. He would do a year or two, and then somebody would buy him. And he was a professional retailer because he was good. He was really good at retailing. And now retailing is just I think it's a temporary little, blip in a person's life that will get them to, I don't know, brain surgeon or micro, whatever they're doing now. But retailing used to be a career.
Selling buzz baits to brain surgery.
Kids would say, I want to work at, Tom McCann shoes, for the lack of a better expression.
Wow.
But
anyway.
That's behind us now.
The upsell.
Carp, and more carp.
And some of them that are the grass carp.
And those are the ones we want to just remind folks about at this juncture.
One of the 4 species of the Asian carp, and they're very devastating. We talk about it time and time again. For those that have been here every week and listen to our podcast and are sick of it, I don't think you are sick of it because it's just a reminder of how bad this can be, will be, and could be, and et cetera, et cetera. So, and for those that are just new to the show, listening to us, you need to hear this if you like angling. You know what I mean? Because the grass carp is an imminent threat? Imminent threat? There you go, an imminent threat. They're not good in our system. And they are a fish species that is not good at all.
And all we need you to do is go to invasivecarp.ca, and check it out. See why they say everything on that list.
Yeah. They give you the whole lowdown on grass carp and other Asian carps too. So,
all right,
carps, carp or carps?
Carps.
Okay.
Carpi, maybe.
Carpi. You grassy carpi.
Grassy carpi.
Very good.
In the news, brought to you by J&B Cycle, your outdoor superstore. J&B Cycle, they are...
And marine. Don't forget the marine part.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep forgetting the marine.
That's more our style, But
Cycle and Marine, J&B Cycle and Marine, Canada's largest Pritzcraft and Mercury boat motor package dealer, apparently.
Yeah.
Nobody's disputed it.
And even Rob hasn't disputed it.
No, nobody has.
Rob, so
you're looking for the full experience, and you're buying, and this is the time of year where we all start thinking, maybe I should get a new boat motor. Well, there is no time like the present to go online. Yeah, online. And buy that package, because they do a lot of their business online. If you don't want to drive to one of their dealerships, you can actually order it all at jbcycle.com.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was going to correct you again because
Did
I thought
you
were
see that, Dean? He was
I was
going
going punch
over
at
you.
me.
I just want to make sure we have the whole encompass.
You almost made contact.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it was. If I was an orangutan, I'd have got him.
In the news, Mr. Bowman, because you like this news story, apparently.
I do, because I think it's typical of what's going on in the world today. How does that sound? Mm-hmm. You're profiling almost here.
Are you a profiler?
No, I'm against this profiling. A Maine family of anglers, there's a family in Maine, I won't get all the names and all that, just filed a lawsuit challenging the state's fly fishing only, FFO, regulations on certain public waters. So obviously, we have them here in Ontario too. We have fly fishing only, very small sections of. I
Not
think
as many here.
The Grand River has one.
Yeah.
It used to have one. It's still in that Arthur area.
I don't know whether they do or not anymore.
I'm pretty sure they do on the Grand.
Do
still.
they?
Yeah, there's probably a few here and there, but obviously Maine has got I mean, when they say it's public waters, and they say no, you can't bring your spinning gear here, you can't bring your bait casting gear, whatever you want to do here, or anything like that.
Who imposes those rules and regulations?
Their
DNO
ministry,
down there.
their district of whatever you call it, Department of
Okay.
Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife.
All right.
So these guys are trying. This family,
right.
God love them, are saying, "Hey, why can't I fish in these sections of the river? What's the deal? Why are you so special?"
I know I have a quick answer to that. Whether it's correct or not, I will give you. It's like the Bow River in Western Canada that runs through Calgary.
Correct.
Sometimes it's done for conservation purposes.
Right.
Sometimes they say fly fishing only because it the pool that it's drawing from goes from this to this in terms of participants. So if you're limited to a smaller general pool of participants, then there's going to be a lot less fishing pressure on the fish. Couple that with the fact that, honestly, and I know a lot of you fly fishermen out there will disagree, it's generally not as effective as other forms of angling.
I'd agree with that for sure.
Right? Especially for nothing. In most cases, it's not as effective because it's kind of one-dimensional, whereas regular angling, it's wide open. You can do all kinds of different things to get your bait to where the fish is. In fly fishing, it's just more, it's one-dimensional. And it's a smaller pool that it's drawing from.
Okay, I get that. Right? I get that.
So you're trying to conserve because maybe the M&R down there, FFO down there, knows that there aren't enough fish on the shelf to sustain just a wide open fishery.
What if you were to implement, strict policies for, let's say, spinning? Yes, you can use your spinning anglers, but you're going to have to be barbless. You're going to have to be single. There's zero retention. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Why not, put some kind of restrictions on it if you're worried about conservation so much? And instead of saying, no, you can't do it. It's the same thing to me as, no, you can't use forward-facing sonar. In these tournaments, you're segregating. You're like, come on now. What
We're talking conservation, okay? When it comes to conservation, to me, there is no black, white, green, purple. There should not be rules for everybody.
That could be brought on because of conservation. They might say the forward-facing thing. They might have said, hey, you know what? Everybody's going to be catching these fish.
No,
we better not do that.
Because not everybody has forward-facing sonar. In fact, a small, tiny percentage of people.
Price is going down. They're going to get more. People are going to be buying it up, guaranteed.
All right.
But anyways, I just think it's, again, you're profiling. Why can't I fish there? Well, he can fish there. Dean can fish there.
You
with
can
his fly
fish
rod.
it. You can fish it.
I
Just
don't
go
want
get
to fly fish.
Oh, well, that's your problem.
I want to catch them on my spinning gear.
Well,
I put all my money into my spinning gear.
Then you cannot fish here, sir.
I had these two assholes upsell me on my fishing line. I had to go to a 3-pound test because I thought the 7-pound was going to work. Oh, God. So, anyway.
Always has to drag it into muck, doesn't he? Eh? Isn't it lovely? Isn't it wonderful?
Anyways,
you have no idea how wonderful
I
it
get
is.
what you're saying about this conservation. Who knows why they brought it in there?
Conservation.
I mean, but
Conservation.
I don't think it's fair. That's all.
God forbid should you not get your fair
If
share.
anybody wants to read the story and then pipe in on the podcast comments, go to fishingcanada.com and you will get better story than what we just butchered up here, as we usually do. And then leave us some comments, please. We'd love to talk about it. Angel Battaglia, he's turning to a fly fisherman now, so he's going to...
Oh, boy. Mason Whitmere via email submits the fan question of the week. And we're not giving anything away anymore, right? So just so I have it straight.
Is that
we were
the new policy?
But this one came in from email. I pulled this one from way
Oh,
back.
it's email.
Oh, this is email anyways, right.
We
stopped that? We stopped the
I heard
2026?
something
We are banning
I heard something
on pause?
regarding due to budgetary constraints. There would be no more freebies. That's what I heard. But what do I know?
All right.
Submitting this question at info@fishingcanada.com. Boy, you guys took that one too serious. I thought it would.
You think we're pissed off? Wait till you hear these guys.
Exactly. Says, hey guys, big fan of the show. I was listening the other day, and it got me thinking. If neither of you had ever ended up on the Fish and Catch, I don't know whether that's grammatically correct, but that's fine.
That's okay.
What do you honestly think you would be doing today? Would you still be working somewhere in fishing or media? Or do you think you would have gone down a completely different path altogether? So, what he's saying is turn back the clock.
To pre-fish.
You can't say if you knew what you know today, if you knew back then, would you? No, this is not that. This is not the case. I think what he's saying is,
you can't.
Right? He's saying if fishing was not in your scope,
or did you have a plan before this and it just fell in, maybe, or something like that? Yeah.
Well, in my case, no. I did not ever dream that fishing would be a pursuit, although I fished a lot as a kid. I never looked at it as a career choice for sure. So I'd have to say that would not.
But he's saying, what would you have done, do you think? Do you have any, before this, were you on a projection?
This is an unfair question. And I'll tell you why. Unfair to me.
Yeah, not to me.
Because today I have evolved into...
quite a flower.
Thank you.
It has blossomed into quite the flower.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bowman.
You're
Coming
welcome.
from you, I really appreciate that.
You're welcome, my friend.
Right. Because, no, I don't think it would have changed. I would have probably been in the automobile industry. somehow.
Really?
Racing, building,
Whoa, wow.
building cars.
You let me just take a shot at this. You were very much into and very good at sales. You were into sales for your whole life, really.
But
Boom,
sales,
boom, 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 boom.
Sales can be done in any one of the categories, right? Sales is sales. You can have sales in automobile.
But would you think you would have?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you think you would have been in the sales? Like you said, maybe racing the cars. Well, maybe you were a salesman
I
of
did do
some
sales
type.
for a number of years and still do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't see that as necessarily a career. But if it wasn't in fishing, I probably would be in racing. I'd be involved somehow in auto racing because that has been a passion of mine since I was able to walk. And I still know the business end of a wrench today. I don't mind getting my hands dirty, right? So
Yeah, you fix lights now. Yeah, you're an auto light.
I do a
mechanic here.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. So I would have to say probably in the auto field.
Interesting.
Maybe racing.
Interesting. Yeah.
I love racing. You know that. We've done enough of it together.
Oh my God.
I love it.
That's all you talk about.
Yeah.
And you got a couple of race cars out in the shop right now.
Yeah, boy.
I would have just very quickly, I was an electrician before I started this, licensed electrician, and I could not see myself varying off of that if it wasn't for this. You know what I mean? This just fell into place after getting laid off at a job and kind of a temporary thing. Maybe I'll get back to electrical, and it just never, I just said, hey, this is pretty cool. This is different, and stayed with it. So if this didn't happen, I'd be an electrician up till, I don't know when I would have retired, but that would have been my plan for sure. I don't know if that would have changed or not too, but it was a good little.
There he was, wheezing and coughing. We found him on the curbside. My brother and I, we were going to church, and we saw him.
There's where the story
curb.
really is good, because they're going to church. Those two, after they just upsold
There he
you.
was, wheezing and coughing, and he was at the end of his rope and had been laid off. And
a little tin cup out there.
We took him in,
looking for a quarter.
Took him in, and there he 40 years later, he's still got the tin cup going.
I still need the tin cup. If I'd stayed as an electrician, God damn it, I'd be rich.
There, hopefully we've answered that question for you. This episode is brought to you by Sail. Sail is proudly Canadian and stocked with over 100 Canadian brands you know and love.
From rods and reels to sonars to kayaks and every last lure you've seen on the Fishing Canada show, Sail has all the gear to get you on the water.
Drop into one of 12 stores across Ontario and Quebec and talk to the real fishing specialists, or gear up online anytime at sail.ca.
Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures. This episode is brought to you by Angler's Leaderboard and its photo measure feature. Angler's Leaderboard makes every catch count by integrating seamlessly with their patent-pending AI-enabled fish measurement board. Now you can automatically measure catch length and detect species in seconds just by using your smartphone camera. It's fast, accurate, and reduces handling. So now you can release healthier fish and keep fishing for the big ones. Learn more at anglersleaderboard.com.
Alrighty, now our special guest for the day. He really needs no introduction, so I'm not going to waste my time giving you one. Bob Izumi. Thank you, Bob, for joining us again, buddy.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, guys. What's happening?
Well, I'm a little disturbed because I was told just before we went on today.
You're a lot disturbed, buddy.
Well, I'm a lot disturbed.
Bob, you agree with that. Thank you, Bob.
Yep. I'll second that motion.
That the last time you were on this show, it was episode 40, and we're now at 200 and change, which means that was a long time ago. And then I went looking into it, and lo and behold, that was like 4 years ago.
Well, I think you guys are working too hard. That's all I can say.
Holy mackerel.
You got that right.
4 years.
So, Bob, you've been retired for 4 years now, Bob? It's like 21?
No retiring. It's a funny word. Retired from the TV show and all the radio show and the magazine. Yes.
Yeah.
Retired, no, because still working with about, 7 or 8 companies, of which, I'm doing some work, consulting, going to sales meetings, doing appearances for them, contests, fishing with customers, just a lot of things. So I was in Santa Claus Parade the other day for Bass Pro Shops in Niagara Falls, at Niagara on the Lake. Froze my arm off waving to people. I forgot my gloves in my truck. We were dragging a boat through, a Ranger through Niagara on the lake there, and I forgot about how cold that window would be open. Now, I wussied out. I didn't ride in the boat for the whole 2-hour parade. I was trying to get over, a cold and stuff back in December, so I just didn't bother riding in the boat. I rode in the truck, but you know what?
I have to ask you: is it like you did all that stuff before when you were doing the heavy lifting, right? The show and publishing and radio and all. Has it changed the way now you can do the Santa Claus Parade or go to those corporate gigs, or do you find it's different?
100%.
100%. Talk to me about that.
Well, I did, congratulations, by the way. I see you guys are 40 plus years now in
40
the
Thanks, buddy. 40 years.
Yeah. Congratulations. Nice milestone. I didn't make
buddy.
it quite to 40 in the TV. We did 38.
Yeah.
But it's funny. This chapter is so different. I'd be lying to you if I said I hate it, because I love every minute of it.
Wow.
I don't feel like Like I don't worry about what's going on in the company. You know, I don't worry about contracts getting signed and all that. It's just a little bit different feeling that way from a business standpoint. There's no stress that way. I'm doing as many promotional days as I want, which is still quite a few, but not traveling near as much, because there were a lot of years I did over 300 days of traveling, a lot of years. And with charity work and tournaments, which I still fish a ton of, and all that stuff. And now it's as much as I want to. And there's times when I want to travel and I'm not, and I go, boy, I can't wait to my next trip. I got to get rocking here. So I get antsy. I like treating life like it's a tournament. And every day's a weigh-in, and you got to hurry up and get something going, and you got to rush and do everything last minute.
That's kind of the point I was trying to make. Like at least you portrayed the image of somebody who loves the pressure, who loves push it right up against the wall and then squeeze that. You
Travel, yeah.
And that's why I asked you that question, because if it was me, honestly, I'd be going crazy right now.
Well,
I would be going nuts.
We would squeeze in the odd fun trip in there over the years too, to Costa Rica or bass fishing in Cuba or South America, peacock fishing, even if we weren't filming. And the thing is having done all that, the bucket list that was, gigantic in the early years is really not much anymore. I mean, I'm just enjoying every day. And I think I know the pressure that what you guys do when you're doing the TV show. I don't miss any of that.
You don't,
right?
Not at all. Like, especially when you're under contract, like, I assume you guys are still working for Ontario Tourism, doing, lodges.
Yep.
And, you got to get up there, make a good show, and then get out of Dodge and make sure that, all the footage is good and all those things. I don't miss any of that stress because, even though it looks good in the finished product, and the viewers will say, "Oh wow, I got to go to that lodge." Right. I get it. It's a trip. It's promotion. It's what people work and pay their hard-earned money to do. But when you're on the other side in production, as you guys are, and as I was, it's a different type of job, and there's always that little bit of got to get it done, and then a relief after you get that shoot in the can, right?
Yep, absolutely. Well said. It's so true.
I don't miss any of not having that. And the other thing too is contracts, when they would, be coming due. If it was a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, they'd be coming due, and you're not sure because there's a new marketing person there, or they've changed focus, or they don't want TV or whatever. It gets tricky, you go, well, if I don't get that contract, that's the one that actually puts us over, or it doesn't allow us to pay the bills, when you've got staff. And
you have to do that, and you have to do all that in advance. You have to look through the crystal ball and see what, that's the part of our business that I personally find difficult. I loved when I did those 20 some odd years of live radio. The reason being is that you did it, and it's done. That show's done. All the commitments are done. All the sales for that one episode is done. And now next week you've got the new show. In television, the thing that makes it extremely difficult for me, and I don't know whether I speak for Pete and probably for yourself, is that it's never over. Because we're doing today what's going to sometime down the road, a year down the road, is going to come to fruition. So I got to do all this stuff now in hopes that that's going to happen a year from now.
Very true.
It's just bizarre. It's a bizarre cycle that we're in. It's hard.
A lot of folks don't realize too that when you're a Canadian independent TV production, as just that sector that we're talking about, use that one. I mean, I get it on the live radio. The only thing about the live radio, before getting off topic here though, is you are committed every Saturday of taping, not taping, sorry.
No, live.
So you're in there, you have to do it, which would cut into any weekend morning functions, Saturday mornings. And that would have drove me crazy doing that, just because it requires diligence and commitment, and you've got to and sacrifice, because you got to be there, right? So I never wanted to ever go that direction. Like when Pizer and I did that radio show for over 30 years, it was a tip format, unlike yours, which you were talking for a few hours, and that ours was just tip format. So in a day and a half, we'd get 100 tips shot or not shot, but recorded, produced, done. You know, but with the TV, you know, contrary to what a lot of viewers might think, we don't write the narrative on the business side. It's not like a network pays us to go do this production and says, here you go, guys, here's enough money to live on and feed the families and people that are involved. You've got to hustle and do all of that in conjunction with getting the production shot. And then you've got to go out and sell it and everything else. Yeah. And I used to get a kick out of it back, you know, when we were producing the show, that, you know, if you changed sponsors, immediately you'd get the daggers thrown at you by some keyboard warriors. And I saw one of your shows that you did back in December, I believe, where you were talking about some of the negative comments, and you'd get people say, oh yeah, it's all about the money. It's like we control the narrative on how much they're paying us and who's paying us, and tell them what to do. I don't think it's that way. I mean,
it ain't that way at all.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we are the ones that are out there selling, and you know, it's different. I mean, it's different than it's a paid TV show. Like you have to, you know, make things happen, and there's a lot of elements to it. I always thought, wouldn't it be incredible to work for a network for 20, 30, 40 years? That's your career, and then you leave, and you don't have to worry about you know, making enough revenue to make the whole thing happen.
Full retirement package.
The whole thing.
Just wonderful.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it's different. I mean, and you know, different strokes for different folks. I mean, everybody has to make a living out there, but it's not as easy peasy, I guess, as a lot of folks out there that may get a steady paycheck thing, trying to run a business that is very volatile.
It's probably why there's not that many shows out there. It's probably why, you know, there's a very few select high-end sort of shows out there. You know, Bob's show, this show, because it takes all aspects. It's not as exactly.
Well, no, there's been tons of shows as Bob.
Successful though, and
there's been tons of shows. They come and go because they come in and then they realize, like everything he just said.
That's what I mean.
They come in not knowing that. And
thinking
they
they're going to get rich,
oh
easy,
my God, what am I into?
Best job in the world.
I'm going back to welding, or I'm going back to driving that bus, or I'm going back to, you know, teaching school.
Or even some well-funded shows.
Yes.
When you think of hunting, fishing shows that, you know, the host or host family had deep pockets. And I'm not going to name any names because, you know, I don't want to throw anybody into that, but have come and gone, you know, in fishing and hunting shows where they figured it was a dream job, and in reality, it's a job. That's all. I mean, it's a job. You know,
it's a job.
I laugh about it because it was an incredible run when we did our TV show. But now that I'm in this new chapter, it's a little different. It's like, I feel like I got a lot more control and a lot less stress. And you know, in our heyday, we had 18 staff, and it was like, it was crazy. It was like, I didn't even know some of the names. I'd be on the road for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I'd come in and I was giving somebody a tour, and I'd been in the office for like 3 weeks or whatever. I'd be going through the office, and I'd say, and what's your name? And then I'd introduce them to the person with me, because I didn't even know who they were. But you know, and I mean, Wayne was back more at the home base, and Fred and everybody, they were, you know, running the operation, but I was traveling so much that, and you know what, and it, you know, you don't need to play that mini violin for me. It's been a heck of a career, and it still is, but I think there's got to be some realism to some of the listeners out there on what goes on behind the scenes. It's not just, you know, and near the end, we were trying to get the show shot as quick as we can. At least I was. I'd go up to Northwestern Ontario as part of my Ontario tourism contract. We'd drive 22 hours up there. We'd get there at like 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon. We'd jump in the boat with the guide at the lodge. We'd get the walleye fishing done, which we had 3 days there to get, as much video and shows as we could finish. But then when we got the commitment of the fishing done, and we said, okay, well, we could stay and maybe do some muskie or bass or whatever, or we've got what we need for the contract shot. What do we need? And I'd ask the gang, what do we need? Well, we haven't interviewed the lodge owner. We haven't shot any B-roll of the facility and the cabins and the dining hall and all those things the docks at. And I'd say that night after dinner, I'd say, okay, what do we need tomorrow? And they said, well, about 2 hours, we can get everything shot, 3 hours maybe. I said, and then we're done. And we'd literally get in the vehicle before lunch and drive 22 hours back. And so it was like we were there for less than 24 hours, But it was what it was. And for me, though, I could get back and go practice a tournament.
That's why you were doing that.
There's always an ulterior motive to Mr. Izumi.
I was selfish. I wanted to get back on the water with no camera on my backside so I could just start casting and looking and trying to find some fish. Yeah. And the staff were happy because they could get back to, with their partners or family or whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
So
we're never that lucky.
No, it doesn't seem like that.
And I saw how much work you guys are doing at the Pan American, Pan American out in New Brunswick.
Right.
And you brought the full crew out. I saw you passing me about 130 kilometers an hour coming home because you were in more of a rush than I was because I was just there fun fishing the tournament.
Bob's just having fun.
You guys were there working. But I get it. It's funny, but it is a rewarding job. There's no question. Sometimes you go kind of thankless, but then other times you go, and you talk to kids at the sportsman shows or wherever, the fishing shows or boat shows, whatever, and you see these kids come up and they're all excited and stuff, or adults, and you go, you know what, that's pretty cool, and who would think that a Canadian fishing production would bring that on. And so it's a funny world we're living in, I mean, you've got the good, the bad, and the ugly happening out there in the world. But I mean, in our business, if you keep it positive, you're going to go more forward than woe is me, right? And I think a lot of people got to look at that now with all this turmoil in this world we're living in right now.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Bob,
I'm glad we're not starting today, is all I got to say, because
I don't
think any of the three of us would be sitting here right now.
So I got a question if Bob ever, because Bob's a kind of a stat guy. You said like 1 year you were 300 days on the road, except have you ever kept
320? I did 320 was the most. I averaged in that 280 to 320 for like 38 years.
So have you ever kept track of 1 year in particular for miles? Have you ever said from tournaments and fishing TV shows from, say, North America, let's just say, have you ever done that and said, oh my God, how many miles did we put on in 1 year?
When I used to have GM as a sponsor, I'd put 100,000 kilometers on new trucks a year myself. Right. That was average. And I figured my flying on the busy years, I was doing about 25,000 miles a year. So, flying too, but it was so cool, when GM was a sponsor for all those years, is that, you're driving those vehicles around, life is good. And it didn't matter, hey, I want to go to Florida next week. I mean, if it's the middle of winter and you're going to go shoot a show, you just drive down there because it was like cool because it was a perk, having them as a sponsor. But after they went away, after the stock market crashed back in 2009, after 19 years, I realized, gosh, you got to change oil and put brakes and tires on the vehicle. I didn't know that.
Insurance and oh my God, what's going on?
Woe is me. I'm a victim.
True.
Hey, Bob, earlier in the show, we have this thing called the question of the week. Fans are allowed to write in and ask us various things. And we had a really interesting one, and I'm curious as to how you would answer this. And the question was basically, if you guys weren't doing what you're doing today for a living, if you didn't get into fishing, what would you be doing? What do you envision yourself doing? You know, young Robert Izumi back 45 years ago, what would he have done?
Well, I think the answer the one side is, had I not got laid off at a factory job working at International Harvester, which turned into Navistar trucks in Chatham back in the late 70s. In 79, I probably wouldn't have started fishing for a living. I would have still worked there put my 30 years in and left. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, it was all about, hey, it was a good paycheck. I've never been money driven at all. It's always been just enjoying a good quality of life and going fast, going hard. And that's kind of been the way I've done things, but it was never about money. So the factory paid good money. I didn't like working there. I mean, I used to, when I worked afternoon shifts, I remember I'd sometimes fish in the morning at home or like on Rondo Bay. Then I would get the boat put away and I'd run into Chatham and be there, you know, for my afternoon shift. And my stomach would be in knots because it was like, you know, you'd do that like on a Friday night, especially when you're, you know, young and single and you want to go partying with all the gang and you got to work Friday night, you're not getting off till midnight. So, you know, it was a different time in my life where the money, though, the paychecks were good and allowed me to fish. I mean, I bought a bass boat and life was good. You know, I mean, grew up with no money. We were very poor growing up, you know, raised by a single parent down Southwest Ontario. But, you know, when I got a loan, got a bass boat, because I had a job to be able to get that loan, get that bass boat and stuff. Well, actually, the first one was in 77 and then got another newer one in 79 and then started with Ranger. I think it was 1980 or 81. But it was different. Now, if I was to choose a career right now, though, what I would do is something different. There's no way I would do what you guys are doing now and what I did for many years. It would be too hard. I would try to get into the promotional business with a full-time position with one of the companies. That would be the first thing I would try to do if I was starting like today, but I was 40 years younger. I would definitely try to get in with a company as a promotion. Well, actually, I was offered that job the first year the TV show went to air. Denny Stalk, who was the main guy for Berkeley, Canada, offered me a job as a promotion specialist, but I had to move to Spirit Lake, Iowa. And I said, Denny, we're not making any money with the TV show. In fact, we didn't make any money for the first 10 years in the TV business. But anyway, I said, I can't do it. I'm on this path now that I have no idea where this business is going to take us, but we're in this TV business and we've already got a lot invested time and effort and stuff that I'm going to pursue this, but I appreciate the offer. But I would have to leave Canada, go to Spirit Lake, Iowa. And that was like in 1984, I think he offered me that job. But nowadays, if I was footloose and fancy free and young, I'd take that in a heartbeat. Now the job would be sales.
Right.
And I don't consider myself a sales guy. More promotion minded. I like promoting things, but I'm not much into asking for the order or trying to close deals. But I do see a lot of these manufacturers, reps, and guys working for distributors and stuff in our industry that are, you know, buddies of mine, and I admire what they do, and I think it's a pretty cool gig they got too, you know. But the problem is there's very few of those jobs here in Canada, right? There's just not many.
Yeah, things have changed considerably from those days for sure.
Yeah, well, and everybody's U.S. central now. Well, not everybody, but a lot of companies have their U.S. Takes care of North America as opposed to having a Canadian.
Which, when we broke into the business, that's the way it was. It wasn't, you know, until a couple of years later that, you know, Canadian satellite distribution offices were being set up. But, you know, at the beginning of our careers, we were dealing mostly with the U.S. companies, and we had to deal with getting down there and making the pitch, right? Mm-hmm. So things have kind of gone full circle now. We enjoyed the period where we had Canadian corporate headquarters here and all that stuff. I think those are behind us, right?
Yeah, they were. And, you know, Mitchell used to have their own office, and Abu Garcia and Daiwa and Shimano, everybody.
Al Sepiano. Mitchell.
Right.
Right? Remember?
Yeah.
Al?
Oh, look
Yeah.
at you guys, the memory.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
The industry had some great characters. Not had, because they're not all gone, but
No.
back
A lot
growing
of them
up.
are. A lot of them are.
A lot of them
yeah.
are, unfortunately. Growing up in the business, I met so many
Oh, yeah.
wonderful characters, right? Like hardcore
Yeah.
characters. It would be, they would be in a movie if they weren't doing what they were doing.
Bobby Patterson, guys like that.
Oh my God!
Obviously, Bob
just-
knows him
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh, Bob was absolutely an amazing man. Like that guy, you didn't know what to expect. I
No,
mean,
exactly.
but boy, did he like to party. I mean,
Oh, yeah. He's the
gosh,
beast.
I'll never. Oh man, he partied. Yeah, and I had lunch with him year before last. Like
Oh,
so,
yeah.
last not. Yeah, so a year and a half ago, I had lunch with him in Milton, and it was
nice.
so much fun. It was like he hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Only he has a cane now. That's it. But he hadn't changed. It was like I felt like I was going back to like 1981 or 80,
Exactly.
1980 or 79 when I met him.
Yeah.
Except he wasn't pouring himself a Crown Royal when I saw him. He didn't have a drink at the restaurant.
He was awesome.
I think I've told this story before. The first time I met Bob was at his office, and Reno had just started wearing the toupee. I don't know whether you know this story or not, Bob. And so I'm just getting used to Reno wearing this toupee around, and we have our first meeting with Bob. And at one point, I'm sitting in the meeting looking at the two of them, and I realize they're both wearing a toupee. And I'm thinking to myself, now, does he know that he's wearing a toupee? And does he know that he's wearing a toupee when they look at each
Oh,
other?
my
That's all I
God.
could think of.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was a great moment of my
I
life. I'll
didn't
never
even
forget
know-
it.
I didn't even know Patterson wore or had one.
Yeah.
That's-
And then he took it off. Same time Reno ditched his, Bob decided that it was over for him as well. So they kind of had a mutual tossing. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, maybe you were there. Did they not throw them in the water at some point somewhere?
Ooh.
I didn't hear that, but
Yeah, I think so.
Since they're both still in this world with us, I should contact them because being half Scottish, a lot of people say, oh, he's Asian, he's Japanese. Well, I gotta tell you, my grandparents on my Japanese side came over in 1899, so I think I'm Canadian. But with the Japanese blood, I got half Scottish blood, and maybe they could borrow one.
They could dig up an old rug.
I would love to have a great big black mop on top of my head. I think it'd be, especially this time of year, and keep it warm.
Yeah,
No
no
kidding.
kidding.
Hey, anglers, want to turn your next catch into a competition? Well, check out Anglers Leaderboard, the new fishing platform that lets you track your catches, join friendly competitions, enter tournaments, and see how you rank against others in your region. Use your phone and the photo measure board to automatically detect length and species. No more guesswork. Whether you're fishing for pleasure or to compete, ALB makes every catch count. What's your ALB score? Well, get Anglers Leaderboard today and start climbing the ranks. Visit anglersleaderboard.com to learn more.
Hey, guys, listen, I'm going to change the subject a little bit because I remember Ange telling me a story, Bob. And this will go back to your tournament days and fun fishing. But this is many, many years ago when Bob and Wayne Izumi were ahead of the game, so to speak. You guys were very much cutting edge guys in Canada, especially. And Ange one day talked about when we saw you, Reno and Ange were fishing a tournament, and they saw Bob and Wayne all of a sudden come out of this major reed patch, this place that didn't even look like there was water in there. You guys come out of there and it ended up winning the tournament and all that stuff. I want to just ask you, when you guys first got onto the flipping thing and all that stuff that nobody was doing, how good was that? How good, when you went in and discovered this stuff, was it like, does it freak you out completely?
Hang on. Don't answer that yet, Bob. Let me just say something. Dean, what were we talking about at the beginning of this show? What did I accuse Pete of doing? Not listening to these shows. We asked him that same question when he was here.
I don't think Pete was there.
Oh, you weren't here when Bob was on?
No.
See, Angelo, I do remember.
Oh,
and I don't listen to your show.
I take it back. You weren't on that show?
No.
Oh.
Now,
Because I asked them that same thing.
Okay,
I told them the story when we first saw them in that reed bed on Pigeon Lake.
no, I know you told them the story, but I
Yeah.
just wondered what that fishing was
Yeah.
like. Like,
He answered that, but go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
Unbelievable. It was, these fish had never seen lures before. Like,
Right.
I remember when we won the first Emerald Isle Bass Tournament in 81, I think it was, when they had that at Emerald Isle Marina. It is like we went into those Reed Islands, on Buckhorn there. There's one out in the middle to the right, going towards Cannon Narrows. There's another one at the mouth of Chemung there. And you just throw a flip in there, and you didn't matter where it landed. If there was a fish around, it would just come and eat it. They were so naive because they had never been touched. They were all big fish, and in that period of the 80s, I remember going down in 1978 or 79 to Kentucky, and I got my first lesson in how to flip. And then I got my first Fenwick flipping rod over in Buffalo at the warehouse when Fenwick had a warehouse in Buffalo. It was absolutely crazy. I went to Rondo Bay, and there's an old stone foundation, a concrete foundation there that always had a bass. And you throw a crankbait or throw a plastic worm up there and usually catch a few largemouths off the corner of this concrete foundation that was in about 3-4 feet of water on sand. But I knew there'd be a fish there, but I took the boat and I put the electric motor and I got really close to it, and I let out enough line just to make a half-hearted flip so that my bait, my flipping jig, slid right down beside the concrete, and all of a sudden my line's going sideways, and I set the hook and it was like a 3-pounder, and that was my first official flipping bass because I just got this flipping rod, and it was like, this is way too cool. So we went down to Long Point in the reeds and really perfected it, and also around any of the wood or the old junkyard on Rondo Bay where there's a lot of shoreline cover, we'd go around flipping that stuff and got to learn how to do it and what was a nice approach and all that stuff. But we won so many tournaments flipping in those early years. I'm going to say 20 tournaments doing it in those early
least.
years.
You're being modest.
You guys
at
were
least.
killing it. Yeah.
You and your brother must just have been teeing it and pitching yourself.
Nobody else is
saying,
doing this.
look at all of these other idiots out there burning gas, running around there.
Throwing a spinnerbait.
And we got a boat full. It's like 9 o'clock. What are we going to do the rest of the day, Wayne? Like, it was crazy. It was that one-sided. It was for that period of time before
But
everybody
look at
else.
what's happening now. I'm fishing against guys that are a third my age, and they're kicking our butts, and it's all electronics now for the most part, right? Not all, but a lot of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I remember that one tournament, just going back in the tournaments, correct me if I'm wrong, but you and Reno won a tournament on Balsam, and you ran to the mouth of a little lake down a canal. Am I right about this?
That's correct, yes.
And you caught them along some rocks that had some weeds along them. Am I correct?
Moly.
Because
Wow.
I saw you coming from that area when we were going to that area, I think day 2, and I go, shoot, I think they've already raked it and caught them. But we were going to flip all those weeds along those rocks at the little, at the causeway there, the road, and some of the other probably stumps and stuff you might have fished over on the other side. And we were going down there later, like midday on day 2, but the aha moment was when I saw you guys leaving. I go, oh, they caught their big weight here probably day 1, and now they've cleaned up on what was left day 2. And sure enough, you guys won that tournament.
Actually, Bob, we did that first thing in the morning on the way up that canal to the lock. Right? We could, because we did the timing thing. We said, all right, everybody's going to rush up to the locks. Locks aren't going to open for another 40 minutes. Why are we going to rush up there just to be first in line? Who cares who's first? Because that was a race, if you recall, getting to the locks, because the locks would only hold 6 boats. So you wanted to be in that first, because otherwise it's an hour and a half wait by the time they, you know. So everybody that was headed that way all went racing to get in line for the locks. And we said, let's fish our way up. Now, we had seen some fish along those rocks. We had gone through pre-fishing, and the water's so clear that, I mean, you could see them swimming. If we have time, we got to stop here, maybe on day 2. But because of that change of philosophy Friday night, we said, why are we racing? Let them go up there. So what happened was we stopped and we fished it on the way in. By the time we got to the locks, we had our weight. We did not cull a fish we called a fish all day long, but we did not lose any of the 5 fish that were in the live well from that spot you're talking about.
And it's so unusual when you look back, because back then you didn't usually run into, I mean, you could fish almost anywhere and have your, time where there's nobody around and just fish, right? Yep. And then as years gone by, and especially nowadays in terms, you're competing for shorelines or points or weed beds or rock piles or whatever, right? Because everybody finds everything now. But I was so surprised that you guys had done some fishing in that area, and I knew our odds of doing well weren't good after your first day, and then seeing you the second day, in that area. I'm going, this isn't cool, but because I really wanted to win that tournament, but anyway, we didn't, because somebody
it was one of the few that you didn't win. Okay, let me tell you,
they weren't our fish; they were anybody's fish. I don't do that. I used to always get a kick out of guys would say, "Yeah, you found my fish." Well,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wouldn't you put your name on them? I can't remember, but you know what? That whole tournament scene, it's still the same, but it's more aggressive. Yeah. It's more electronic use, especially not as much in the weedy lakes, but even so it is. And then it's youth now, and that's kind of what I like doing nowadays. Is till I can't move anymore, I'm going to keep fishing these tournaments. And have the odd good one every now and then, but for the most part, I'm donating a lot of entry fees, because I'm competing.
Somebody's got to donate. Let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, aside from the electronics being an issue, because let's face it, it's a young man's game. When it comes to electronics, whether it's here in the studio or out in the field, it's a young man's game. They can pick stuff up. Like, we struggle with anything technical. We have to think. We have to use our minds. These, like, the young kids are just like most of our staff, they're just pushing buttons and making stuff happen. Keeping that in mind, how much in your tournament life today, and let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think that is affecting you at your age? Is it just what's the number?
It's affected me a lot, because it's a commitment. So you guys are with Garmin, right?
Right. Yeah.
I've been Lowrance for quite a few years.
Yeah.
They all make great electronics, but the thing is, these kids look at these screens, adjust them, do things. I'm like you guys now. I just got these glasses a month ago for forward-facing sonar. I've been in denial for years that I need glasses, but oh, there you are. I can't see it. So I'm still in denial. I put them there, but I need them for long distance. I need them for close, progressive lenses. But these young people now are so adept at looking out 100, 120 feet or wherever in any direction, behind the boat, ahead of the boat, to the sides. And they're looking at fish, and they're not even casting at fish that might appear to be not quite the size they want. And so they're able to tell whether a fish is a 4-pounder or a 5-pounder or a 3-pounder. I filmed some stuff for this Alabama Bass Trail, I think it's called. I've never seen it, but it's a TV series down in the States, with pro angler Drew Gill last summer. And Drew is an absolute hammer with forward-facing sonar. He can tell fish within a half a pound of each other.
Oh my God.
And he is absolutely, I'm trying to stand behind him, and I'm going like this, like I'm getting seasick, because he's going 2.8 mile an hour, zigzagging with the boat, with his electric, scanning. Then all of a sudden he's got those boat brakes on his power poles, the electric motors, and then he hits those if he has to, and he's working a fish that's 2 o'clock that's at 90 feet, and he can flick out these accurate casts left, right, center, behind him, with precision. And he is that new wave of, 20 some odd year old that is so adept at fishing with electronics to see what's around him with forward facing that I know at my age, I'll never be as good as him.
Right.
But I think I can beat him every now and then in tournaments because if we go to different types of fisheries,
Right.
but I'm not going to beat him day in, day out. I know I can't because he is so incredible in if a forward facing scenario on a lake is happening, guys like that, and there's lots of them now. I mean, Chris and Corey Johnston are up against a whole new wave every year of new guys that are young, hungry, aggressive, and very, very good with their electronics. Yeah. So it's just going to get more equal, I think, for everybody. And then you got the old guys like me that, at first I didn't want to do it, when it first came out. I wanted to be old school. What do they call it? Scoping or hoping? I was a hoper, know. But
now I'm going to turn the clock back some 45 years ago, and some people back then might have said the same thing about you, because we mentioned just a few minutes ago, pitching and flipping into those reeds. Well, we didn't have. Not only did we not have the equipment to do that, we didn't have the know-how. So in a roundabout way, you were kind of doing that back then with the rest of us, as you just described, younger anglers today that are, in the tournament world that are kicking butt because they're doing all those wonderful things with electronics.
Yeah, you're right.
But flipping was no different than scoping. The people who weren't doing it were going home empty-handed. Period. No. There was no, what I mean? There were still some, not secrets, but techniques that were not widespread back then. You're right. Now, every technique is pretty much, from hovering to scoping to dead sticking, you name it. There are so many techniques now that catch fish. And with the internet and everything, there's just no secrets anymore, really.
No,
I mean,
you're right.
The secrets of the fishing world have probably been exposed. Now it's only refinements, right?
Right.
So, yeah,
it's all about progression, though, right? It's all about progression. I think in every sport, everything that we do in life it just 40 years ago to today, and you look at anything, it's changed. I mean, hockey, look at the equipment they're using.
Their equipment changes.
The practice procedures, because this works better than that, and you know what I mean? So
I embrace it. I mean, there's been so much talk
I love it.
The last couple of years about forward facing and, a lot of negative comments regarding forward facing sonar during tournament use. In fact, some tournaments are starting to control the amount of, I don't like any of that. And the reason I say that is because I go back to you. If we had have said that, in 1979, when
no flipping,
no flipping,
you can't hide in those reeds.
You cannot go into reeds and flip bass over there. Like, that wouldn't have been fair, because that was your world, and you discovered it and you perfected it and you took advantage of it. Why would we want to ban it just because you happened to do the right thing at the right time and I didn't?
But I saw it so much in the 70s where spinner baits were the deal for winning a bass tournament at Rondo Bay. I remember the first Rondo Bay bass tournament we won was spinner baits. I remember crankbaits becoming popular back in the 70s with Rebel Wee R's and Big O's and all these crankbaits, lip crankbaits and lipless crankbaits. And I saw this evolve over those years of techniques that were all of a sudden new to a region, new to a lake, whatever, and you could go out there and have incredible success. Now I still buy so much tackle. It's unbelievable. I was shopping online last night. I didn't pull the trigger. I've got 3 pages of stuff I want to get. And you would think I have everything.
You do, Bob. You do, Bob. Okay.
I'm always looking for that magic, that next thing, but one of the inherent problems of a tackle junkie is this, because I'm one, is there is no magic lure, but
Right.
if you're still going to compete in tournaments like I do, you have to be prepared just in case. The only problem is just in case means a lot of things you carry never get touched, and because it's just that time and place doesn't come. And then all of a sudden, you might be in a tournament. I might be down the States fishing, one of my co-anglers catching them on something. I go, I remember buying those 5 years ago, but I don't even know where they're at now. Hey, buddy, can I borrow one?
Yeah, no kidding. As a bass fisherman, Bob, you must stay on top of the Japanese market. Then you must be keen on watching what's coming out of that. I would assume.
Was that a slight there?
No, it's not. It's a JDM market.
1899 was a long time ago when the grandparents came over. We didn't have good Japanese tackle back then. No, you know what? It's. I was looking at a lot of that too last night, and I'm looking at soft plastics for like $16 a package, and then I'm doing the math. That's like 6 of them for $16. It's like, oh my goodness, it's over $3 each, and you might get one bass out of it, and it's destroyed, or no bass, and it rips off your hook. And I'm laughing. That was the Scottish in me coming out, but there are a lot of good, as they call them, JDM baits, from Japan on the market nowadays. Do they catch more fish? I'm going to say yes and no. The only time I think they will catch more fish on heavily pressured situations, like we might have on like a Lake Simcoe, for instance, smallmouth. You might throw something, that's never been thrown at these bass before that you picked up, and they'll eat it. But there's so many lures out there. It's such a competitive business.
Oh, God.
You remember when Gary Yamamoto came out with the Senko, and how many?
Oh my God!
How many stick baits came out? Every manufacturer had to have one.
Everybody, yeah.
We couldn't sell those things for the life of us. They were so damn expensive. We at the store at Barclays, we were probably the first ones to bring them in the country because I thought they were that's such a great bait. And I used them. I thought this is going to be fantastic.
We used them in Mexico when we discovered them in Mexico that one trip.
And so I thought this is going to be great. I'm going to bring them to the store. People are going to line up for them. We couldn't sell them for the first.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm going to say first 4 or 5 years that we brought them in. We ended up at the end of each season just discounting them, putting them in the discount bin.
Oh my God!
Because people did not know the power of that bait, right? So,
and then think fast forward it though. Then you'd see them at a gas station. You'd be like up in cottage country, and you'd see Senkos at a gas station that only had 6 lures, but there'd be Senkos and that. And then Yum came out with the Yum Dinger, and there was a Senko, and in more recent times, Berkeley Maxent General or the Power Bait General. There were so many different variations of those stick baits, and I'll never forget sitting with Gary Yamamoto talking about it many years ago, actually in Spain. We're over there for a bass tournament. And he said, who would have ever thought that as I'm looking at a Bic ballpoint pen, and I'm thinking, I want to make a lure that's pointy like this pen, but on each end. And I want to make it so it quivers on the fall and that. And that's how he invented the Senko, was he was looking at a pen. And then as he said back then, and that was quite a few years ago, he said, who would have ever thought I could make a lure for 2 or 3 cents at the time, manufacturing cost, and sell it for, well, what did you sell them at Barclays in the 80s for?
We were trying to sell
each?
We were trying to sell a bag of 6, I believe, for about $15, $14.99.
Oh my God! Yeah, back then.
Yeah. And comparatively speaking, there was nothing over $10. A bag of plastic baits. I mean, there was $5 to $8 for a bag, right?
Yeah.
These were 15, and people just couldn't get. And I was trying to push them, and I was trying to tell them how great they were, but they just wouldn't spend the money. And then all of a sudden, boom.
Then when the guys bought them and used them, they broke on every fish.
Well,
they
that's
give
the
you
other problem,
shit
too.
Jesus, Viola, what are you doing? They get all pissed off with that. I don't blame them.
But they sure caught them,
Oh my God. They still catch them. They still catch them.
And that whole category is still huge, It's probably the number one lure I'd say used by recreational anglers for bass up here,
For sure.
Stick baits,
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And they're not really sexy looking. And that's probably why they didn't have a lot of curb appeal, right? When they're hanging on the pegs at first. They just look like it doesn't even have a curly tail. What kind of worm
exactly.
is that?
Yeah.
Exactly. We use the cream worm with the
Yeah.
curly
Yes.
tail
Right, yeah.
and the
Mr.
hooks in it.
Twister and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed, but it hasn't. I mean, certain lures stood the test of time, and now there's a lot of variations and a lot of very good quality sharp hooks out there and stuff. So it's never ending. Still, though, there's always new colors coming out, and
Yeah.
I got to put some in my truck, and sometimes they may get to the boat.
Maybe.
They may get used.
Yeah.
One of the advantages of getting older in life, aside from all this wonderful experience that we gain, is that generally some of the good things that you've done throughout the years finally get recognized. And recently you were the recipient of the King's Coronation Medal for your contribution to Canadian conservation. Tell us about that experience, will you?
Well, it was kind of weird. It came out of left field. The Minister of Natural Resources, Mike Harris Jr., was going to present it to me, but then he had a family issue he had to tend to up North Bay. So the former Minister of Natural Resources, Graydon Smith, who looks after, he's the MPP for, I believe, Muskoka, Parry Sound region. He presented it along with the Windsor, Tecumseh, and the Chatham, Kent, Leamington, and the Milton MPPs, and some of them are ministers as well in the government here in Ontario. The four of them presented it to me down at Queen's Park, and it was so funny because, my old man, when he raised us, said never take anything for granted, and he said be humble, and it was pretty neat to get it. Emotional in one way. I'm not a real emotional type guy, but it was kind of a weird moment because the old I'm not worthy. Like what? I'm a guy who made a living in the fishing business and was fortunate enough to be in it for a long, long time. But I don't know. It was pretty neat. Very unexpected. I didn't know it was coming, and then about a few weeks prior to going down to Queen's Park, I found out that they wanted to do a presentation, and it was different. Yeah, I mean, hey, honored, humbled, but certainly didn't feel like I was the worthy one. That's for sure. But
Good for you. No, you
I think you underestimate what you meant to the angling community for all those years and still do today.
Yeah.
There are so many, zigging and zagging that we all did because of Bob Izumi, and a lot of them were conservation issues. And so I think you're valuing what you brought to this fishing community and very deserving of the medal, and our hats
Congratulations.
off to you. Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know what? I only got into this fishing business as a means to try to do something that I love doing, to make a living at it. It was a lot of years before a real living came out of it. A lot of folks, they saw the show in the 80s and thought, wow, he's living the dream. And I was living the dream, there's no question. But people don't realize that it's still a very unique but tough business because you have your good years, your bad years. We had it all in our business. I'm sure you guys experienced it at Fishing Canada, where it's some years are pretty good, and other years, you're going, how are we going to be able to pay all the bills?
Exactly.
It's like going fishing, isn't it? Some spots pan out, some don't.
Yeah, it is, and you can't take anything for granted either, because corporations in this day and age are under a lot of stress, with budgets, with the employees don't want to stretch their neck out too far in maybe making a marketing decision to spend in fishing, and that's it becomes challenging, and now, especially what you guys are up against is the whole digital footprint is so big.
Big time.
But that pie that used to be split up, maybe 6 or 12 ways in Canada with a company is split up now 50 ways or 100 ways.
Or more, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, or more, with influencers and things like that on social. And it's a changing world, and that's one of the other reasons I'm not missing it too much is it is a different world than traditional media that we're in now. Even though traditional media is still there, I don't see it disappearing, but it has a lot of competition. You know, I mean, when I'm watching something, it's either if it's not a live sports thing or news, I'm pretty much watching it on demand now when I want to watch it, you know,
Right,
whether
right.
it's a specialty network on the internet or YouTube or whatever. So it's just changed. And then a lot of the kids nowadays, of course, you know, don't watch. That was something I learned the other day, though, is the attention span so different now for the youth. Like they don't want to sit and watch
Oh God,
a
no.
movie, you know,
No.
for instance.
No, without a doubt.
I didn't even know that thinking about movies. I thought everybody watched movies, but obviously it's not in the the deal for a lot of the young folks.
My kids can't even spell TV. They don't even know what it is, for Christ's sakes. They know what it is, but YouTube's on it, you know? So you're right.
It changing world. And you know what? Guys like us aren't going to change anything moving forward about what people want to do.
Right.
But we are in a business of what people like to do, and that's fish, which is pretty cool to be able to say that, you know, hey, yeah, we're still making a living in this fishing business. It's not many of us get to do that here in Canada, and you know, stand the test of time. And you know, I did see something interesting on one of the shows you did back sometime in the latter part of last year, where you're talking about you know, fishing shows like myself, and I think you mentioned Charlie Ray, and you know how we closed up shop in the last few years and stuff. And I laugh because I do want to address it for fun.
Please.
You had mentioned something, Pete. I think you said something about Macy's Parade, and Angelo, you said something about, you know, you think I should have maybe made more of a deal of it when I ended the series after 30 years.
Yeah.
And I was laughing when I was listening to that because I did it sort of my way, which was the most less attention as I could get, other than a LinkedIn post and a quick little, you know, few minute video, or, you know, maybe 2 minute video or whatever on Facebook and Instagram. That was about it. And the only reason I did that is because I wasn't retiring from the business, but I was retiring from the TV business, call it, you know, and that, but I wasn't, you know, completely disappearing off the face of the earth. But Bob, I just didn't want any attention.
I said those things as a fan. Yeah. I said, if I recall, and I'll paraphrase, I said I was disappointed personally as a fan that there was, and I was not disappointed at you. I was more disappointed at us, the industry itself, and that's coming from a fan. It was from that fan's point of view.
You know what? The thing is and I get it. I understand what you're saying, but I've never been, you know, this whole fishing business to me is, I didn't do it for the notoriety, as crazy as that sounds. Like when I started the TV show, it was only to be able to afford my tournament addiction. I needed something else to do other than promotional work for a handful of companies and tournaments. I did that for 3 years and a bit before I started the TV show in '83. But I only did it to you know, help fund my tournament prowess. But the thing is then when I started to see the notoriety start, and I go, oh, I didn't realize that came with it, and was never a big fan of it. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, because I'm just a guy who loves to fish, and I like competitive fishing. I just love tournaments. But the thing is I think when I finished that TV show, though, too, is I was kind of just sort of wanting to do it kind of low key, just sort of
walk away, and nobody would notice.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, like
You were-
that. Like that. The way I started was I started not thinking it would go to what it did, and all
Right.
those years of doing. I had no idea. I thought I'll try it for a couple of years, see how it goes, and move on from there. I think when I met you guys, and well, I first met you. I remember on Dundas Street down the road from Mercury.
That's right.
Yep, you
That's
and your
right.
brother.
Yeah.
You pulled me over. I thought you were
That's right.
undercover cops or something. And then I remember hanging out up North Bay and Calendar Bay at the walleye tournament.
Yeah.
And Pete, these guys, these two brothers, when I first saw them at the first tournament, I don't know if it was that tournament or one of the bass tournaments prior to that, but they had this center console boat and they had all the rods sticking up, right? Like antennas and rod holders in the car. And I'm going, man, if I had those, I'd be hooking those on every back cast.
For sure. For sure. They probably did, though. Do you remember that boat? Do you remember all that?
I sure do.
Oh, that's
I
funny.
Sure do.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
that was, and you know, but who would have ever thought then that
God.
we'd be talking, 40 years later?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
That's weird.
crazy.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird.
Yeah, it's like,
We've been very fortunate. All of us here around these mics have been very fortunate to
and
be
you know,
able to do these things, right?
you got to take the positive out of it. And I get a kick out of hearing people, whine or complain or point fingers or be hateful or whatever. I don't get a kick out of the hateful ones, to be honest with you, too much. It's kind of disappointing, but it is a world we're living in. I saw it at Queen's Park when I get that medal. I sat there and listened to the opposition go back and forth in the question period, for a half hour. I sat in there and listened, and I go, that's done just, they're trying to get, policies changed and laws worked out and stuff. But I'm thinking to myself, boy, that ain't my life. I wouldn't want to be in politics, but I do have a understanding that everybody has to have a job, and some people are meant or made to do that. That's what their calling is.
Yep.
And I asked one of the MPPs the other day when last month when we had lunch after that presentation, I asked him, I said, why are you in politics? What do you like about it? And he said, I like the challenge. I like the challenge of something that needs to be fixed, he said. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And this guy was not an egotistical, politician. He was a very cool guy, just one of the guys, but he just liked the challenge,
Could have been a car mechanic. Same thing.
Yeah.
You want to work on something needs to be fixed.
You could tell his agenda was, not not about ego, but about, changing things for the good stuff. I was pretty impressed, I thought to myself, that's pretty cool to hear that firsthand. And that's just one-on-one. We're talking, it's not like he didn't have a microphone in front of him or anything. This was just talking, unfiltered. But, that's the thing about this fishing business is that, there's so many people that, have watched the shows over the years that, we've produced and you guys have produced and said, boy, these guys are living the dream. And you know what? They are right. I mean, gosh, how good is it?
We try and downplay it around here, Bob. Okay.
Well, yeah, and we also like to complain a lot behind closed doors.
That's right.
But you can't complain too much because really, who the heck is going to listen?
Nobody's going to listen, Bobby. You're casting a line at walleye and bass and muskie. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. There's something about being on the water that it's just, even if the camera's there or not there, you get a fish on and everything just it changes. You're fishing, you're catching, life is good, and
so
that.
True.
I'm going to assume that you're still on the tournament trail south of the border.
Oh yeah, not too many down south. I think I'm going to sign up for that Buffalo Bassmaster one. I'm looking at it, the Open in August. But the one in Sturgeon Bay, the local district natural resources have changed, and I think it's catch and release only in the spring, so you can't have a weigh-in tournament there. So Strube and I fished that thing for the last probably 14 years or so. I don't think it's going to happen this spring. So the one we fished the Sturgeon Bay Open, so I don't think I'll be going down there this spring. But, just still going to dabble in a few. I mean, I feel bad what's happening between Canada and the U.S. with the politics. You know, it's tough because I like going to the U.S., but I also know that a lot of people are anti-U.S. because of, you know, political preferences and everything else. And that's something that, you know, as guys in the fishing business, we can't really get too involved in because, you know, win every argument, lose every sale, right?
Right.
Good point.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you're not gonna win.
yeah.
I mean, if you're talking to somebody that thinks the opposite, so it's not an argument I like getting into because everybody's got their choices and that. But it's yeah. I mean, I find when I'm going down to the U.S. to do some fishing, like I was in Oklahoma this past fall. No problem getting across the border, coming back and stuff. But it's, you know, a lot of people right now are just holding back and waiting and that. But the thing is, I think there's going to be a lot of waiting going on if that's the case, you know, and that's your feeling. But fish don't know the difference.
Do you do any circuits in Canada? Do you do anything in Ontario?
I was doing the Renegade, and then it changed into the bait fuel, but haven't been doing it for the last couple of years. Jay McCormick and I won one the last year we were fishing it. That was a lot of fun on the St. Lawrence. And then Darren and I won Andy's Major League Fishing Quinny Cup last year.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
In the summer at Trenton, which was neat. So I was looking at the old logbook the other day and saw it's been 6 decades now I've won about 80 tournaments in.
Nice.
And so if I can live to be in the 2030 and get another decade, that'd be kind of cool.
Attaboy, good goals.
Hey, and you know what tournament fishing is? I'm going to tell you what it is. It's nothing but personal gratification for my ego. I just love them because deep down, nobody cares if I do good or do bad in a tournament. I mean, I hear about it when I do bad. I mean, people still say, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, I got my rear end beat. Everybody caught more fish than me, or half the field did, or whatever. Yeah. But it's just personal ego gratification
right
thing. It's you know,
I just to say that actually.
I just want to prove to myself I can catch them sometimes. But you know, it's tougher as you get older because you know you're up early, as you guys know. You've fished turns. You're up early. You're to bed late, and you're going hard all day. You know
exactly.
But it keeps me feeling young. That's one thing. I'm hanging around with all these young guns, you know, and they're so cool because I learn from them because I'll be, you know, listening to them going, what? You caught them sight fishing? I thought you were using your forward facing. No, we caught them. We were looking at the fish. And I'm going, oh, so they're not just a one trick pony. They're fishing like with their eyes and sight fishing and doing different things. And I'm always learning still, you know, and that's what I like about this sport is.
Agreed.
I think the older we get, the less we know, right? So
yeah.
My friend, I wish you another 100 years of it, not just another decade, another 100 years. And,
well, I don't know about 100, but I mean, what do you guys go for? 45 years? What's the goal?
Yeah, I don't know. We talk about it.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
We hit this one now. We'll see where the next one comes. We're not really sure.
Well, the one thing about it is you can do it as long as you want. You know, health permitting, as long as you're having fun. And I think, you know, as we all get older, you got to look at it as, hey, are you doing what you want to do? And if you are, great. And if you aren't, well, you can make that change as we get older, you know, but it's a funny deal because it was hard for me to, it was hard, but not hard for me to end the show, by the way. I was driving home one day. I came home, I saw Sandy, and then I saw Darren later that day. I said, oh, by the way, I think we should shoot next year and then end it the year after. They said, what?
Just like that.
Wow, eh?
Just like that. That was it. It was not you know, I had been thinking about for years. But
it's kind of like Reno telling us, that's it, and I'm done. You know,
yeah.
Same thing. There was no fanfare. There was no big...
wasn't a whole lot of...
he just said, I'm done.
Preamble or anything. It was nothing,
Well, you know, you kind of know when the time is there, too. I think you know, deep down, you don't know right now, today as we speak, and on your guys' side, but you'll know down the road when the time's right, and hopefully it's not forced, you know, with something. Right. I mean, it's just the timing. But you know, in 1988, my original partner with the fishing show, he was an older gentleman in Guelph. He wanted to end it because
Jim Deerhack?
No, Bob McGuigan.
McGuigan,
Bob McGuigan. You probably met him. Big, tall guy.
Of course.
Owned a one-man advertising agency called Memory Bank in Guelph, and he did car dealers. He had a couple of GM dealers. He had a jewelry shop, and that he'd do the jingo business and stuff like that. Creative guy. Yeah. He said, "Let's shut her down." And Wayne came in after the first year of TV, right? So let's shut her down. And I was drawing a salary out at the time, a very small salary, a lot less than I made in the factory, 8 years prior or whatever. But Wayne and Bob weren't taking a salary or nothing out. Right. And we had been doing it for, about 5 years. And he just wanted to shut it down. And at the time, there was the only assets were some boats and stuff and some microphones. We didn't own our own camera at the time. We just started to look at production, like a lot of the equipment. We hadn't bought it yet. We're still getting freelancers to do it or an outside house. Yeah. But Wayne and I, talked with him. We said, well, we think we can continue. We don't know where it's going to go, but we think we can continue, or we'd like to continue with it. So we gave him a boat as his payment, even though the company was not an asset-based company. Right. We gave him a nice Lund boat as a payment to, be out of the business, and he could concentrate on his business and so on. And that's what happened. And Bob never fished. So here's the weird thing is, so he wasn't a fisherman, so he never got it the whole 5 years we worked together, of the passion and that. But he'd see it sometimes in the camera boat. He'd come out and stuff on the filming. But he took that boat and he bought some equipment and stuff. He took it to Bellwood Lake, and on his first cast caught a 10-pound pike. And this is a guy that's in his 60s. And he got hooked on fishing after we parted ways.
Wow.
And then he started buying downrigger stuff and salmon stuff and bass stuff. And I once went to his shop there where he had his office and stuff where we used to produce Joe. He kept the office and the little industrial unit for a while. And here's this boat that's got all these toys and all kinds of equipment laying around the shop. And I said, Bob, you're right into this fishing, eh? And he goes, oh, yeah, I love it. He said, I never had any idea how cool it was while we worked together.
There you go, Bob. You just got to give away all your boats all the time to people, and they're going to create new fishermen. There you go.
Yeah, no kidding.
Perfect world.
But it was, we parted ways on friendly terms, but it was a big deal. Here's a boat because, it wasn't like we were rolling in the dough or anything, but it was just, we had to treat him fair because he was the guy who started it with me, But anyway,
sure.
That was
great story.
It was fun.
Is there perhaps a book coming up?
No books, no. Bestseller. My 5 family members each get one for free.
I think there'd be a book.
I'd read
somewhere.
it, Bobby. I'd read your book for sure.
It would be very short. It'd be been there, done that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right on.
My friend, it's been an absolute pleasure. We managed to go even more over than we did 200 episodes ago when you were last on here.
Well,
so you were complaining that we were too long last time. Well, you're going to complain even worse this time.
Hey, I overstayed my welcome about 200 shows back, and I was trying not to do that. So
never. Never a problem.
In 2031, when I win a tournament, I'd like to come back on your show if I could.
Done deal.
Done for sure, Bob.
Done deal, my friend. All the best to you in your future endeavors. I'm sure that we haven't heard the end of Mr. Robert Izumi. There's some big things coming down the pipe. I feel them.
Well, I just hope that 2026, during your shooting season, you get all the shows shot in a timely fashion.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
You'll be thinking of us. You'll be thinking of it.
And have fun while you're doing them, because I find sometimes we don't smell the roses enough, and when you're at, all those locations, and I probably was at them too over the years, some of the ones you're going to, and if not, they might have been ones I hadn't, but I'll tell you, there's one thing we are blessed with is some pretty amazing fishing. That's one thing we've got. Nothing's changed.
Here.
Nothing's changed. We got great fishing, and Good talking to you guys, and I will see you at next trade show.
All right, buddy. Sounds
Take
good.
care, brother.
See you, Bobby.
Bob Izumi, the legendary Bob Izumi, the real fishing show. For those of you who lived in a cave for the last 40 years who haven't watched this show, it kind of set the mark for all of us in the business
it did.
for a number of years.
It was Red Fisher for the first part, but then Bob came in and kind of modernized the fishing television world. Right? So
and led the way, and a great person to have in our industry at the time that we were growing.
Yeah, great ambassador to the sport, etc. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
All right. Well, that was
good.
I feel I almost feel like this is going to sound terrible.
Oh, maybe you shouldn't say it then.
I feel like I should be leaning back now, lighting up a smoke for some reason. That was so nice.
It was good. It's worthy of a cigar, maybe,
Anyways, once again, look them up. If for those of you who are new to the industry and maybe aren't familiar with Bob, look him up. He did win the King's Coronation Medal because of his efforts and contribution to the Canadian landscape in terms of conservation.
Yeah.
So he downplayed that a little bit.
Yeah, well deserved for sure.
But anyways,
cool. That was good.
Dean, do we have anything else?
We're all good. We're all on track.
We're all on track. No.
No, we do have a live scope upcoming. Should be announced in the next episode. Probably we'll have a date.
And
That's good.
J&B Cycle is still bringing you all these wonderful contests.
They're doing some stuff in the probably late January with boat armor. So we'll be announcing some contests with boat armor.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Until then, I want to thank everybody for joining us once again. It was short crew. We have the wonderful, the talented
Easy now.
Dean Taylor.
Want to see the short crew. You might want to see the condensed crew.
The condensed crew of Dean Taylor. For Peter Bowman, I'm Andrew Viola saying thank you very much. We'll catch you next time. This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio has been brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Center, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. And J&B Cycle & Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment.